Hey everybody, Keith Hafner here. I'm sitting in the spectator area of Keith Hafner's Karate. This is a really special month for us in our school history because we've been in this building now for 20 years. And it's really hard to believe that it's been that long. Of course, the school has been on Main Street longer than that. It was on Main Street for 15 years before we moved into this location. And in a few minutes, we're going to go out on the street and I'm going to show you some of the famous landmarks in the Keith Hafner's Karate history. This building used to be Woolworth's department store, and the store operated on all 3 levels, and it'd been in Ann Arbor for a really long time. And it's kind of nice being in a historic building like this because every once in a while somebody will come in who used to live here a long time ago, and they'll point to some place and say, hey, I bought a fishing pole over in that corner, or I remember sitting at the soda fountain over here along this wall. And I love being in downtown, and that rich heritage and the long history of these buildings is really, really special to me. Well, this building had been empty for a long time when we moved in here in 1989, and it was really just a shell. It had really been gutted, and it needed a lot of work, and it wasn't like you see it today when you come in here. It was really just a bare shell, and it took a lot of work to get it up to the nice facility that you know it to be right now. We had been next door for 15 years before that, and really literally outgrew the place. We got so that classes became so big that we didn't have room. Of course, the school was about 1/4 of the size of what we've got right now, and it got so that students couldn't even throw a kick or a punch without accidentally hitting somebody else. I remember as the school had started to get bigger over there that that's an older building than this one is, and it had actually a wood floor with wood beams. And when we had a whole class full of people, I remember that the floor, you could actually feel it moving up and down if the class were running in place. So we knew we had to move the school, and it was a great blessing for us to be able to move right next door to where we had been so long. And I remember very well coming into this building, and sometimes the school had grown quite a bit, but it wasn't as big as what we experience right now. Coming into this building, which is about 8,000 square feet, and thinking, oh my gosh, what are we ever going to do with all this space? But of course, the school then did fill up, and we were like a fish in a fish tank, I think, that grew to be the size of the container. So this building's special to me, and many memories in here. Jason and Ian have been in here the whole time, and they were just kids when we moved into this building, and of course now they're grown men and working here as full-time employees. Well, what I'd like to do right now is to go up onto the street and show you some of the landmarks of Keith Hafner's Karate, and maybe we'll even take a walk up the street and I'll show you where we used to be. In fact, there are 2 locations where the school used to be. We'll go up there and we'll take a look at it. 1989, July of 1989, we moved into this building. Now, a lot of people know that we used to be over here at 214 South, or rather at 220 South Main. Come on, let me show you. The school moved into this building, which now houses Elmo's T-shirts. It moved into here in 1974. And some people familiar with our history know that this is where we were before we were at 214 South Main. What a lot of people don't know, though, is that this is not the first place we were in downtown Ann Arbor. What I want to do right now is show you where we started out way back in the early 1970s. Come on with me. Right now we're at the corner of Liberty and 4th Ave, and here on the southwest corner is a building that for many years, going way back into the early 1900s, held a famous restaurant called the Pretzel Bell. It was really a popular campus hangout going way, way, way back. And for a very brief time in 1974, we were upstairs over the Pretzel Bell. It wasn't for very long, just a matter of months, and it was while we were preparing to move into 220 South Main. I remember Grandmaster Sell saying how difficult it was to teach up there because, of course, everybody was jumping on the floor and making a lot of racket, and meanwhile the restaurant was right below us trying to serve meals. So as you can see, the doorway is right there, and you would walk up the steps, and that was where what was called the Academy and what later morphed into Keith Hafner's Karate. That's where we started, in downtown Ann Arbor. So in 1974, Grandmaster Sell moved the school from over there at 4th and Liberty to right here, 220 South Main. And at the time, he had leased the whole building, all 3 floors, and there was even a basement. And this is where I did a lot of the training as I was preparing for black belt. And I earned my black belt, and pretty soon after that, I bought the school from Grandmaster Sell. I'm sitting here on one of the flower boxes right out front, and it's really awesome for me looking up and down Main Street, because I am a rarity in that I've worked here on the same street my whole life. Ever since I graduated from college, this 200 block of Main Street is really the only place that I've ever worked. And so for me, this place always feels more like home than really any place that I've ever actually lived. I really grew up here, literally, on these streets. I sit here on this flower box and I think about the school when I worked there for Grandmaster Sell and after I bought it. The school was so small, a lot of times there wasn't a lot to do. And so during the day, I remember clearly sitting on these flower boxes out here in the sun and reading. And I've always been a lover of literature, and I can think of all the great works of literature that I read sitting right here on these benches. It's really a special place to me.